Hey family, what's going on? This is Andy Henriquez. Of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your live motivational live stream. This is where you come each and every week to get that midweek pick me up. And let me tell you something, I've got a message for you tonight. I've got a very special message for you tonight. And I'm so grateful that you decided to go ahead and tune in as we share this message tonight. So if you would, just go ahead and first of all, if you know you got some people you're connected to that you believe could benefit from this message, make sure you go ahead and hit the share button, hit the comment. Hey, family, what's going on? This is Andy Henriquez. And, of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your live motivational live stream. I'm so excited that you decided to join me tonight. I've got a message for you tonight. And this is specifically for those of you who you have a burning desire to get to the next level in some area in your life. I don't know what that area in your life may be. Maybe perhaps it is in the area of your relationships. Maybe it's in the area of your finances. Maybe it's in the area of your spirituality. But this message is specifically for that person who is committed and really truly wants to get to that next level. And this is something that I've come to the realization that has happened over and over in my life. And I want to perhaps maybe shed some insight for you. And I want you to write this down. This is the first thing. I want you to write this thing down, and we're going to go ahead and dive right on into tonight's message. I want you to write this down because here's what I've come to the realization, that exposure leads to expansion. I'm going to make sure that I unpackage that I break that down for you, but I want you to at least write that down, that exposure leads to expansion. So I say that to you because I want you to think about specifically about an area in your life in which you are looking to expand, like you want to increase your capacity in that area in your life. Now, I want you to think about that, whether that's in your career, whether that is in your business, whether that is in your relationship. And here's what I've come to realize. And as you guys are tuning in right now, I appreciate you joining in. Go ahead and put in your city and your state in the comment section so I can make sure I give you a quick shout out. But here's what I've come to the realization is that this is how things have worked in my life, is that every single time I was about to enter an area of my life where I was going to experience significant expansion, an area of my life where things were about to increase, an area of my life where I was about to get to the next level, prior to me getting to that next level, prior to me stepping into that expansion, I first had to be exposed to it. So in other words, I was exposed to something way before I actually realized or it came to fruition in my own life. And I'm going to unpackage that for you because I need you to get this, because if you can get this, and if you can then reverse engineer what I'm about to break down for you, you can now allow yourself to start experiencing increase and get to the next level that you want to go to in your life at a faster pace. If you can reverse engineer, and I'm going to help you to reverse engineer that. So I want you to think about right now. I want you to think about this for a moment. What's the area in your life that you want expansion? Perhaps it's in your business, it's in your finances, it's in your relationship, whatever that area in your life is, Princetta, whatever area that is, Darren, whatever area that is, Nancy, I appreciate you all tuning in. Whatever area that is, I want you to think about that area in your life for a moment. And then what I want you to start thinking about and ask yourself the question is this: how can I expose myself to the next level, or what do I need to do to expose myself to the next level? Now, let me help you to understand what I mean by that. I remember when I first made a decision to leave corporate America. This was December of 2004. I was working as an accountant. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. To be quite honest with you, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just knew that was no longer for me. Working that corporate job, amazing company, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I knew that there had to be more than that. If you have ever been at a place in your life where you said, you know what, there has got to be more than this, do me a favor, in the comment section, put me too, me too. That way I know I'm not just talking to myself. And so I was at that area in my life, at that place in my life where I was saying, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. And then so I ended up making a very bold decision to leave my job with PricewaterhouseCoopers to then start my entrepreneur career. But I'm going to be very honest with you. When I started off and I decided to go ahead and take the leap, I honestly was not quite sure exactly what I was going to do. And so one day I just happened to swing by the gas station and I was putting gasoline into my car. And then there's another guy who was putting gasoline into his car. And then we struck up a conversation. And I love this guy's energy. This guy had a bunch of charisma. And I found out that he was a former NFL player. but that now currently that he was a real estate investor. Well, I want you to think about this. I had just left my job in corporate America. I was trying to figure out what was going to be next. And so when I found out he was a successful real estate investor, he was in the process of building multiple homes. He had rental properties and so forth. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, do you mind if I tag along with you over the next couple of weeks and just sort of check out what you're doing? And so what happened is after that conversation, he was so kind and so generous enough to say, man, absolutely, no problem. You could tag along. And this is what my daily routine looked like. I would leave my house, drive over to his house. A lot of times I'd grab 2 cups of coffee, right? I got to carry my weight. And then I would show up at his house, and then I would get out of my car into his car. And then when we got into the car, we would drive around. And so one of the stops that we would do is we would swing by the bank, and I would watch him having conversations with his banker and talking about increasing his equity line of credit and talking about getting funding for his next project. And then we would swing by his rental properties, and we'd go by his rental properties. He'd be picking up rent from some of his different tenants. And then we'd swing by like a property that he was currently in the process of renovating. And so he would be telling me about how he bought the house and now he had his crew fixing it. And then I would just observe the way that he was communicating with his crew and the way that he was going out to purchase things and the way his brain was working to construct these real estate deals. And I want you to realize this, that I had been around him for a period of over 6 months, just simply being exposed to the idea of being a real estate investor, being exposed to what it takes to get the funding, being exposed to an actual rehab being done, being exposed to the whole mindset and what he sees when he walks into a property. At that time, I really honestly had no idea how you invest in real estate, nor did I even know or think that I was going to invest in real estate. But here's what I want you to realize. Without even realizing it, I was being exposed to my next level. I was being exposed to something that I was going to eventually do. I was being exposed prior to experiencing any level of expansion in my life. And so here's what I want you to realize. Just simply being exposed to his daily activities, being exposed to the way that he thought about things, being exposed to him getting funding. Next thing you know, I'm around this gentleman. His name is Eric Rett. I'm around him for a period of about a year and a half. And next thing you know, I find myself walking into the exact same bank, speaking to the exact same banker, acquiring an exact same equity line of credit, and then going to go purchase a piece of real estate with his guidance, of course. And now I'm starting to see myself now talking to the crew, telling these guys, hey, we need to put a roof, we need to do the AC. I'm buying a home, I'm flipping a home. And the next thing you know, I buy a property, I decide to keep it. And then before I know it, over a period of a couple of years, I'm buying and selling real estate, and I'm wholesaling real estate, and now I have rental properties and the tenants are paying me. And I'm thinking to myself like, whoa, wait a second. How did this happen? Like, how did I end up turning into this real estate investor? How did I end up acquiring these tenants? How did I acquire these properties? I'm gonna tell you right now, the way that it happened was that I got exposed to it first. And so I want you to realize this, that there are some things that you want to make happen in your life. There's some things that you want to happen in your business. And what I want you to understand is if you want them to happen faster, if you want them to actually become a reality, you need to find a way to put yourself in an environment where you are going to be exposed to the very thing that you want to do. You know, schools and regular jobs understand that concept. That's why when people are in school, a lot of times they do something called an internship. And what they know is if they can put somebody in the environment, allow them to experience the job opportunity, that now it has embedded a desire, and many of those students will go back and change their major, or now they make the decision very early on that they want to go back and work for that company. But I want you to realize this, the reason why that happened is because they got exposed to that environment. They got put in that environment. What I want you to start thinking about right now, in any area in your business, any area in your life, any area in particular that you want to expand, I want you to start asking yourself the question, how can I expose myself to this thing that I want to create in my life? What is it that I can do right now to begin to artificially expose myself to it? And so let's just start thinking about some other dreams and desires that you have. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said, Andy, you know what? I'm in the middle of a comeback right now, but eventually one of the things that I want to do is I want to buy a Tesla. And so we were having that conversation, and the first thing I told her is, well, you know what? If you want to buy a Tesla, and that's a desire of yours, what you should do is actually rent a Tesla. You may not be able to afford to buy a Tesla, but you should rent the Tesla for 2 days so that you can know what it feels like to be in the vehicle, to be holding on to that steering wheel, right? To hear no engine sound because it's fully electronic, to see that big center screen, to be able to put the car in autonomous drive and let the car drive you and have a complete body experience, a cellular level experience of that thing that you desire. And now that you've exposed yourself to the thing that you desire, what you don't even realize is that now at a subconscious level, you're going to start working to make that thing become a reality for you. I think about this all the time. My wife and I, we live in a condo right now. And one of the things that we really enjoy, we love going out to eat by the water. And we really come to appreciate the water. And prior to me marrying my wife, I was committed to, we're going to be in a house, And now I love the condo life. You hear me? I love the condo life. The 24-hour security. We don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about lawn. I don't have to worry about a pool. I just pay my condo association fees and I don't have to worry about nothing else. And the only thing that I like even better than just a condo is a condo that is overlooking the water, overlooking the ocean. And so once my wife and I, we started having discussions about, maybe that needs to be our next move, to get a condo on the water. That one of the first things that we decided to do is a couple of times we'll do staycations. And what we'll do is we'll go places in which we actually have a condo on the water, where we open up the sliding glass doors and we are looking out at the ocean. And so what I want you to understand is that all we're simply doing is exposing ourselves to the thing that we desire. And if you can expose yourself to the thing that you desire, you'll be so surprised about the things that you begin to do without even realizing it, to start making that thing happen, to start bringing that thing forth. And so I want you to think about right now something that you desire in your life, something that you want to make happen. Like you have gone from one toxic negative relationship to another negative relationship, and you keep saying to yourself, I want to have a happy, fulfilling relationship. Well, listen, if you have proven it to yourself that you don't know how to do that on your own, maybe it'll be a great idea for you to start spending some time with a married couple that has been having a happy, fulfilling relationship over a period of many years. And if you can just get in their presence consistently, have dinner with them several times, go into their household, watch how they communicate with each other, watch what they have to say about each other, watch their interaction. Now you begin to have this model. Now you've been exposed to the thing that you want. For those of you, you want to be a terrific parent, and maybe perhaps you had an absentee father. You didn't have the perfect model in your household. Then maybe you surround yourself, you get around, you get exposed to some people who are doing a great job of parenting so you can start picking up some tips. I mean, this goes in every area of your life, whether we're talking about spiritual, whether we're talking about financial, whether we're talking about even good health habits. You expose yourself to the thing that you want to realize and start happening in your life. And I'm telling you, once you begin to expose yourself, amazing things begin to happen. You guys, do me a favor right now in the comment section, put #expose, #expose, #expose. Put that right now in the comment section. Put #expose, because I need you to get this. If you can expose yourself to the thing that you want, you are going to make it happen that much faster. If you can expose yourself to that very thing that you want. And so I'm telling you right now, if wherever you're at in your business, if you're looking to get to another level in your business, one of the best things that you could do is get in an environment with somebody else who is running and operating the business at the level in which you want to be at. And if you could expose yourself and put yourself in that environment, like ask them if there's any way that you can swing by their office a couple of times, if you can jump on a couple of their business calls, if there's anything that you can do to just simply expose yourself on what that even looks like. Like a lot of times we can't even create something in our life because we have no picture of what it is. And so we are trying to create without even having any idea, any kind of picture of what the thing is that we're looking to create. What do you think is easier for you to do? To be able to paint a picture that you can't even imagine, you can't even fathom in your mind, or if somebody held the picture up for you, handed you a pen, and then gave you a piece of paper and said, go ahead and start outlining this sketch. I want you to understand this, that once you get exposed to something, you're pretty much being given the sketch. You got the model, and now what you've got to do is you got to start putting in the work to make this thing come to fruition for you. And so I think about some of the really, really awesome moments in my life. You know, I have, there's a direct sales company that I'm going to be speaking for actually, I'm going to be speaking for them in a couple of weeks out in Utah. But what's interesting is about 6 years ago, I had my first opportunity to speak to a direct sales company, a wonderful company by the name of Tracy Lynn Jewelry. And the interesting thing is, I remember my mentor who had opened up the door for me to be able to have that opportunity, Les Brown, that so many of you are familiar with. I remember the first time when I stepped foot outside on that stage, and it was my first time delivering a talk to a direct sales company. I remember after that moment, and that was a really, really powerful moment for me to not only be able to share the stage with my mentor and somebody who's poured into me so many times in front of such a large audience, but then, and also for him to trust me at that level, to put me in front of that audience, and for Dr. Tracy Lynn, who's the CEO and founder of Tracy Lynn Jewelry, to open up that opportunity for me. I remember being there on the stage, and after delivering that speech, I remember thinking about it for a moment and rewinding to literally 13 years before that, to when I was sitting in the seats, in the crowd for a direct sales company. And I remember sitting there and watching some of the leaders and watching some of the speakers come out on the stage. And as the leaders and the speakers were coming out on the stage, I remember sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I would love to be one of those people on the stage. Like, I would love to be able to be on the stage speaking in front of all these people for a direct sales company. You see, I had no idea that when I was sitting in those seats, I had no idea that when I was sitting there watching those speakers, I had no idea when I was saying to myself internally, I would love to be on the stage. And to be quite honest with you, when I said that, I was thinking that being on the stage by hitting the toppest positions in the company and becoming a leader to be able to get on the stage. But I had this desire to be able to speak on the stage. Listen, I had no idea that that was a preview of what was to come 13 years after that moment. Like, I had no idea. And so what I want you to understand that right now, that there are some things that you want to happen in your life. And there are some things that have already taken place in your life that you don't even understand, that those things are simply and have been a preview of what's to come. And so you've got to simply believe that for yourself. Like, you have to believe that it is a preview. And if you haven't experienced that preview, if you haven't been exposed to that next level and that thing that you desire, you need to create the opportunity yourself. In other words, you need to put yourself in that environment. So you want to be speaking on the stage in front of lots of people. Go to an event where there's speakers on the stage in front of a lot of people. I remember, like, the largest audience that I've ever spoken to was an audience of 5,000 people. But I have this vision of being in front of an audience that's even bigger than 5,000 people. And so when the Grant Cardone put on his event, the 10X conference, there was supposed to be 35,000 people there. I had another event that weekend. But even though I had another event and I couldn't make it to all 3 days of the event, I said, I just got to make it at least one day of the event. And somebody was saying, well, Andy, who do you want to see speak? I said, well, to be quite honest with you, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to be in the environment, because I wanted to walk up close to the front of the stage and to just simply look around and see the 35,000 people and embed that vision in my mind, understanding that it would simply be a preview of what's to come, right? Thou shalt decree a thing and it'll be established unto you, right? There's a lot of times that the things that you want, you've got to expose yourself to it. You've got to be able to see the vision. You've got to put yourself in that environment where that thing that you want, that thing that you desire, it becomes real to you for a moment, even if it's for a short moment of time. And so you want that house on the water? Go to Airbnb and rent that house on the water for 2 days. You may not be able to afford it right now, but rent it for 2 days. You could afford it for 2 days so you can know what it feels like to wake up in the morning and see those beautiful windows and look outside and see that water. You know what I'm talking about. You are saying to yourself, listen, one day it is my desire to fly private. Well, guess what? You can go ahead right now and find a way to get on a little private jet to go someplace so you know what it's like. You have a desire, you want to own a boat, go ahead and rent a boat for 2 days. Know what it feels like to be out there in the water. Look out, have that breeze slapping and hitting your face. Know what that thing feels like. Most of the things that you want to accomplish in your life, before you can make those things happen, you must expose yourself to that next level. You've got to expose yourself, because exposure leads to expansion. Exposure is going to precede expansion. And many of us that feel a little stuck and we're not producing the things that we want, it's because of the fact that we haven't been exposed yet. And so what happened is, stop waiting for the thing to happen and put yourself in an environment so you can experience it, even if it's just temporary. Put yourself in an environment where you can experience it, where you can feel it, where you can taste it. Because now that you've experienced it, you felt it, you tasted it, now you have put that feeling in your body, and your subconscious mind does not really know the difference between just that temporary moment and a long-term moment. And you can start taking it in and put that thing, imprint that thing in your mind, and make the commitment that I'm going to figure out how to produce this thing. Listen, if you're getting some value from what I'm sharing right now, do me a favor, hit the share button, and also make sure you put some hearts, some likes, and so forth. You know how it is on social media. We got to do all those things to make sure that we get the amount of views that we really want to happen. Now, here's the thing. Here's one of the things I want you to realize, that one of the dangers when we begin to expose ourselves to the things that we desire in life is that we get exposed to it. So let's say, for instance, you say, well, you know, I heard this guy, Andy, talking about that exposure is going to lead to expansion. I heard him talk about that. And so, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do what he said. He said, I need to expose myself. I've been thinking about writing a book. I'm going to go to a book fair. I'm going to watch the other authors. I'm going to speak to some of the other authors. I'm going to put myself in that environment, because one day I plan on being at a book fair as one of the featured authors. I heard that guy Andy speak, and I want that beautiful home on the water. So I rented the home on the water for 2 days. And I did that, and I've been exposed to it. Andy said, if one day I want to speak on the big stage, I need to go to the environment. I need to get exposed to it. Now, I did what you said, Andy. The only issue is I have no idea how I'm going to make it happen. And so here's what ends up happening. You get exposed to something, and then what ends up happening is you start asking yourself, well, how am I going to do it? Right? You say, well, how am I going to do it? How am I going to get that house on the water? How am I going to be able to get my business to 8 figures, multiple 7 figures? You know, how am I going to be able to become 100% debt free? How am I going to be able to have a happy, fulfilling relationship after coming through a very difficult divorce or losing my significant other, right? And so we start asking ourselves how. And then what ends up happening is, because of the fact that we don't have the answer, we start now building a case as to why it's not going to happen. And so we start building the case as to why it's not going to happen. And then we stop dreaming, and then we stop taking the action steps to start producing the results that we want. And so what I want you to understand is this. This is something that we have to get. You need to worry about this, and I need you to get this. Here's a key. Write this down. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. When I was sitting there with that direct sales company, and I was saying to myself, man, one day I would absolutely love to be that person on the stage. I just planted the seed. It was an idea. It was a thought. It was something I desired. I held that desire in my heart, but I did not know how it was going to happen. And so it didn't happen a year after. It didn't happen 2 years after. It didn't happen 5 years after. It didn't even happen 10 years after. It would be 13 years after that my telephone would ring, where Les Brown would call me up, because I was in one of his coaching programs and I'd been working with him. And he said, hey, Andy, don't you live in South Florida? I said, yes. He said, listen, I'm coming down to South Florida. I'm going to be speaking for a direct sales company by the name of Tracy Lynn Jewelry. I'm going to be speaking to that organization. And of course, I need to get permission from Dr. Tracy Lynn, but I'm going to ask her permission if I can bring you on the stage with me, and I'm going to go ahead and give you 20 to 25 minutes of my presentation time for you to deliver the speech. And I remember saying to him, like, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely, hanging up that phone and saying, never in a million years would have figured that the way that this thing was going to become a reality for me was as a result of me getting a phone call from Les Brown, who was going to be doing a speech in my backyard, and decided to go ahead and reach out to me and tell me that he's going to give up 25 minutes of his talk to allocate it to me to give me this opportunity. I had no idea. And so what I want you to understand is your only responsibility is to expose yourself to that thing that you want to make happen, is to expose yourself to the next level, to think about what your goals are, think about what your dreams are, and just simply create a small opportunity for you to just simply be able to feel this thing, experience this thing, and be exposed to it. And then after that, you release it. You release it with just simply holding on to the belief that it is possible. So you release trying to figure out how you're going to do it, but you hold on to the belief that it's possible for you. That's the thing I need you to get, right? So you need to release the fact that you don't know how to do it. That's cool, right? For most people right now who are trying to get to the next level, right, most folks are not quite sure how they're going to get to that next level. It's just a deep desire. It's something that they want to do. They're not quite sure how they're going to do it, right? But the thing is, you need to have the belief that you can do it. Now, if you take being exposed to it, because now that raises your level of belief, right? And not being completely like gung-ho on how it's going to happen, and being able to release that. And now just you'll begin to operate from a place without even realizing it, because you have embedded this thing in your subconscious mind. You will begin to start taking the actions to make this thing become a reality in your life. Do you get that? Things will begin to happen. It is nothing more. When you get exposed to that thing that you want, it is nothing more than a preview of what's to come. It is a preview of what's to come. You don't know how it's going to happen, but it's not your job to worry about how it's going to happen. It is a preview of what is to come. You guys, do me a favor right now in the comment section, put hashtag preview. Like if you want to preview what your next relationship looks like, you want to preview what your finances are going to look like, you want to preview what your next career move is going to look like, you want to be able to preview what your finances are going to look like in the future. The way that you preview that stuff is by ultimately exposing yourself to that next thing. Do you hear me? If you can expose yourself to it, yes, Darren, preview. And so if you could expose yourself to that next opportunity, if you can expose yourself to the thing that you want to make happen, I want you to understand that what you're doing is you are giving yourself a preview of the future. You are giving yourself a preview of what is to come. Do you hear me on this? You are giving yourself a preview. And so you are literally exposing yourself to the next level. And what you're doing is you are previewing yourself to something else. And there are sometimes I have come to the place in my life now that I actually know when it's happening. Sometimes you do it yourself, but sometimes it is one of those things that is really just God orchestrated. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I got some of my friends that they were hosting an event that I was going to be speaking at. And they said, Andy, man, we decided we're going to do something very differently this time. They said, just so you know, what we decided is that this is how we're going to set up the stage. Instead of setting up the stage in a traditional manner, we're putting the stage dead center in the middle of the room like an arena. And the audience is going to be all around the stage on every single corner of the stage. And so I came to the conference and they had the stage dead smack in the middle of the room. And they had the audience sitting all around the stage. And so I want you to envision the stage in the middle of the room, not the front of the room, in the middle of the room. And the audience is on all sides of the stage. So it's like a square stage. And there's audience members behind you, to your right, to your left, and in front of you. And so I'm telling you right now, I remember looking at the stage and just smirking. And one of my friends said, Andy, why are you smirking, man? Because I said, man, I like what you guys are doing here. He said, yeah, you guys like it? You think it's cool, it's different? I said, yeah, but this has more meaning to me than that. He said, how so? Because I said, the reason why is because I have watched video clips of legendary speakers who are speaking in massive, massive stadiums, that were speaking in large arenas. And in those cases, I've seen them speak in the middle of an arena where they put the stage dead smack in the middle of the arena. So I want you to envision, I've been to conferences, the Get Motivated conferences from many, many years ago, where they rented out a basketball arena, like an NBA basketball arena. And what they did is they actually put the stage dead smack of the middle of center court. And the people who are sitting in the audience were sitting all around the arena. And so that speaker needed to know how to be able to work the stage when sometimes they'd be speaking and some audience members were to their right, some audience members were to their left, some audience members are in front of them, and some audience members were behind them. And you had to learn how to be able to speak on every corner of that stage without necessarily making people feel as if you're neglecting them. And also without looking like a bumbling fool and turning around in circles and going around in circles the whole time that you're talking. And so I was laughing because I realized this. I said, I got it. I got it. And the reason why I said I got it, I said, I already know how this works. I'm going to document the date. This is nothing more than me being exposed to something that is going to happen in the future. Some point in the future, I'm going to be in a massive arena and the stage is going to be dead smack in the middle of the arena. And I'm going to be delivering a talk to the audience. And I am going to remember that part of the reason why when people go, oh, Andy, you were looking like a natural on that stage, man. How do you talk on the stage that's in the middle and people are behind you to your right and your left? And I'm going to be reflecting back on that moment when I went to go speak at my buddy's event and they decided to put that stage dead smack in the middle. I want you to start exposing yourself to the things that you want to produce in your life. But I want you to stop dismissing things that are happening in your life and thinking that it's not possible for you. And I want you to start smirking when you get part of awesome opportunities. Like somebody invites you on their private yacht. Next time, instead of you just saying, oh, that was so sweet, they invited me to the private yacht. How about you put a little smirk on your face? If that's a desire of yours to say, wow, maybe all they were doing is just exposing me to something I'm going to produce in my life. You know, the next time that you get around somebody, maybe you haven't had any happy, fulfilling relationship, you get around somebody who's in a happy, fulfilling relationship, instead of saying, oh man, look at them, they're just so happy, I never had that in my life. Why don't you look at it as, you know what, they're just exposing me to what's possible. They're exposing me to something I'm going to produce in my life. The next time you see somebody killing it in their business, instead of you saying, oh my gosh, they're killing it, things aren't working out like that, why don't you be happy for them and say, I love it, because all they're doing is exposing me to what the possibilities are for me, for what's next for me. And so what I want you to realize is this, is that you got some amazing things that are about to happen in your life. I am convinced that this is your time to elevate, that this is your time to be able to get to that next level. But in order for you to do that, you've got to be willing to expose yourself to that next level, because exposure leads to expansion. So every area in your life that you want to experience some level of expansion, you want to experience some level of increase, I want you to think about what is it that you can do right now that you can do that is going to allow you to expose yourself to the level that you're trying to get to. Expose yourself to the thing that you desire. And I believe that when you do that, amazing things begin to happen, especially when you expose yourself with a belief that it's possible for you, with a belief that this thing can actually happen for you. Listen, I believe right now that things are about to take a rapid shift, a rapid change for you. And so do me a favor, if you got value from this message, do two things. Number one, hit the share button. Let's make sure that we share this message, because I know that there's somebody you're connected to. They've been trying to figure out like what's missing, and they don't realize that they can start giving themselves a head start, that they can start stacking the odds in their favor if they could just simply expose themselves to the thing that they want. So first of all, do me a favor, hit the share button. And the other thing is, if you got value from this, and this was exactly what you needed to hear, I want you right now, do me a favor, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a shout out right now. Do it for me. Put "this was for me." This was for me. Go ahead and put that right now in the comment section, this was for me. And that's your way of letting me know, Andy, listen, I got something from this message. I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to apply it to my life. Either I'm going to take something you just shared right now, I'm going to reteach it because there's somebody else that I think that could really benefit from this. Thank you for sharing this with me, Andy. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share this thing. Yes, Viviana. Yes, Viviana, one of my MSA alumni students in Mastermind. And Viviana is awesome. She has a credit repair business. And she helps people to have financial freedom. I see you, Viviana. Yes, Nancy Allen. Nancy Allen helps people with transformation. She also is a Master Storyteller Academy alumni and Mastermind student right now. And she's doing phenomenal things to be able to empower people, help them with transition. Luciana, good to see you. Hey, Carol, that's going to be coming to one of my upcoming Master Storyteller Academies that's happening next week. Pamela, one of my former Master Storyteller Academy alumni, as well as Mastermind students, I see you. Darren, I see you. Cheryl Ragland, who's actually coming to my Master Storyteller Academy that's next week. Oh my gosh, MSA family in the house. The Master Storyteller Academy family is in the house. I appreciate you guys. And so if you got some value from this message, and once again, I just want to say thank you, you guys. Viviana said this, I believe you, Andy. Nancy said this was for me. Luciana said this was for me. Carol said this was for me. Pamela said this was for me. Darren said this was for me. Cheryl said this was for me. And Terry said this was for me. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. And so I just want to remind you guys, exposure is always going to lead you to expansion. Get in those environments that stretch you, that force you to grow. And don't get in those environments saying, wow, if only. I want you to just think, is this possible for me? Because it is. And think about, wow, what if this is a preview of what's to come? What if I can produce this in my life? What if this can actually happen for me? And when you start to operate from that level of belief, and then you start acting from that place, amazing things begin to happen. You begin to attract the things that you want. You begin to produce the things that you want, and it becomes an absolute game changer for you. And so once again, you guys, I just want to thank you all for tuning in and joining me for the Thursday Show Up for Your Life Motivational Live Stream. Hey, for those of you who haven't already done so, I'm going to type it in right now. I want you to text the word, you can text the word show up, all one word. I'll type it in right now to 954-278-3701. For those of you who've never done that before, what that's going to do is that's going to give you access to one of my trainings. One of the things that I really love is to help people who are entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and influencers to be able to use their personal stories so that they can enroll people, connect with people, and get people to take action. As a matter of fact, I have my Master Storyteller Academy next week, which is completely sold out, which is absolutely awesome. So you can't come to this one. I will be having one again in September. But if you want to get access to my free training, all you got to do is text the word show up, all one word. Don't put a space in between the word show up. Text the word show up to 954-278-3701. Once again, you're going to text the word show up to 954-278-3701. When you do that, you just need to follow the prompts. You're going to be instructed to put in your name, your email address, and so forth. And then you'll receive a text message with access to the training. And the training will also come to your inbox. And it's a really cool, quick video training that's going to help you to be able to use stories, to be able to connect with people, overcome the distractions, and then get them to take action. That's my gift to you. If you haven't, if you knew you already got this training, you know that. But if you haven't, take advantage of it. You're going to text the word show up to 954-278-3701. Once again, that's show up to 954-278-3701. So listen, family, I just want to thank you all. I really, really, truly appreciate you tuning in and join me on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life Motivational Live Stream. I want to remind you once again that exposure leads to expansion. Find a way to expose yourself to the next opportunity. Expose yourself to the things that you desire in your life. And if you can expose yourself and hold the belief that it's possible for you, you will be surprised the way things will happen. It may not happen exactly in the timing that you thought, and it may not happen the way that you think it is going to happen. But trust and believe. If you hold the belief and you expose yourself, that it will happen for you. And so, listen, I just want to thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you again next week. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day.